Welcome to today's episode of What to Say and How to Say It. I'm Nina Rosner, and I'm with Kyle Hargrove, licensed professional counselor, and we are digging into a topic today that might be familiar to you. It certainly wreaks havoc on your relationships if you're in one with somebody who has to get the last word. There's people that have a lot to say. Maybe you're one of them. Well, today we're going to dig into what having the last word can do to your relationship, what it's about, and then maybe some strategies around how to deal with that if that's you or if it's somebody else. So I'm really excited about this. I want to direct you to our website, greaterimpact.org. There's a marriage assessment over there. If you're a hot mess, you can get some help. And if you're doing great, which you'll find out after taking the assessment, maybe you can come mentor couples with us. Anyway, go check it out, greaterimpact.org. All right. So Kyle, you ever know anybody that's wanted to get the last word in all the time?
No, never.
Are you being facetious? You're trying to say it's
Yes, usually.
yeah. Like, yeah.
I may have found myself in that position a time or two,
Me
uh,
too.
or more. Um, I will say this: I see less value in it now at my advanced experience and age than I did when I was younger. Less mature, less experienced, and it's funny because I can only think of one time just off the top of my head. I imagine if we researched it, we'd come up with a handful of things. But the only time I can think of right now where being last is what you want, you know, is a Chinese gift exchange.
Oh.
Because if you draw the last number in a Chinese gift
Uh,
exchange, then you get to choose any gift in the room
yep.
that hasn't been frozen because it's been traded the maximum number of times.
Yep. Yep.
So that's one place where being last is, it's what you want. But other than that, being last is just not something we choose that frequently or that often or want, except when we're mad or upset or disagreeing.
Mm.
And then there is some kind of a perception, because it's not real, that getting that last word in, that last oomph, the exclamation point, the cherry on the top, gives you a sense of control or power,
Yeah.
either in that conversation or in that relationship.
Hmm.
And it's a sham.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you up front, it is smoke and mirrors.
Well, with the Chinese gift exchange, and we used to do this in my neighborhood at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
All the women would get together and then we'd steal each other's things. And it was
It's so
sometimes,
much fun.
yeah, I didn't get it. I think I was bad at the game. But to your point, I do remember having just a bit of joy when I was last one time. I was like, all of these could be mine. I was like kind of sick. But you're right, it's control, you know, and it's about control. Can I say this thing and slap you with it and then make my exit?
And that's, I think, the need for control in that situation is usually going to be present because we don't do the conflict thing well.
Hmm.
And when it's going badly, you know, somebody's got to reach in and grab it around the neck and put it to death,
Yes,
you
slaughter
know,
it, please.
end its life,
Dispatch that
because
thing.
it's not going well, and it never has, and it never does. Yet we find ourselves back in that position, in that spot, time and time again. So, why don't we understand this better? Why don't we get a grip on why we feel that need to control, or to be empowered, not in a healthy way, but in a dominating way,
Yep.
so that we can, you know, basically avoid what we came here to do, which is resolve a
Mhm.
conflict.
Yeah, it's interesting listening to you talk about this. When we teach the marriage transformation experience, we teach them this one boundary. The first boundary is for everybody, and we have zero conversation when we're emotional. And so we teach them this very kind way of stopping and escalating conflict. Hey, I love you. Let's talk about this later when we both be calm. And inevitably, somebody's anxiously attached. And so when one person starts to put a brake on the conflict, the other person starts to chase them around and be like, yeah, but you just don't. It's like, stop it. You're breaking the rules. It's not useful. They got to get that word in there. And control can be from fear or dominance or all sorts of not holy places. But to your point, it's still control. It comes across that way.
Yeah. And I guess the question is, as a rule, because I think we've all done it. Some of us do it better than others, and some of us work harder to be in that position than others. But why is it so important to get in the last word? And the only thing I can compare it to, I remember being little, probably some first memories came from the age of 4 or 5. I think that's pretty standard. But I remember in kindergarten and first, the idea I had in my head, and I was the only one because things got pretty competitive sometimes about being first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're all watching the clock. We know what time the teacher
Yeah.
is going to say, okay, now it's time for lunch. And, put your books away and grab your lunch pails or whatever. And let's get, and as soon as we heard the word let's get,
Yep.
off like a shot, we were gone
Yes.
to the corner of the room where the door was in the front, uh, to see who could be first,
Yeah.
you know, and walk proudly down the hall with the class following behind you as if you'd done something important or you were
Right.
some kind of super leader, you know, and there was no value in it whatsoever. We were all going to get there to the cafeteria at the same time. We were all going to get our meals and sit down and eat and finish and go back. And then it was important to be first in the line again, or to finish your assignment first. That
Hmm.
didn't work out so well some of the time because you get careless when you do that.
Yeah.
But so being first or being last probably has some kind of either cultural or societal or psychological value that we perceive, which is actually a myth
Yeah.
because there is no value in it, you know, unless it is truly a competition, a game, or a sport, or something we're striving for. So why is it so important to us? And the questions I have: why is it important? What does it accomplish? Does it solve anything? And maybe more importantly, does it create more conflict than
Mm.
we came to the table with?
Right.
So I'd like the answers to all four of those, please, right now.
Well, we're gonna have to dialogue our way through that. It's an interesting thing as you were talking about this. I remembered being about 8, 9 years old, having an argument with my best friend. And I don't remember what she was bringing up or whatever or why. But I remember at the end of it, I was really hurting from her feedback. And it had something to do with my mom. And I remember walking up the steps. She lived next door to me. And I walked up the steps to my house, and they're long steps. There's like 10, 20 steps there. And I'm walking up the steps and I turn around and I yell, "At least my mother loves me." Oh my God. Like as if I had some insight into her mother-daughter relationship that I was only privy to. And like she had a great relationship with her mother. I don't know why I even said that. But my goal was to injure her. That's what's true. And I
Yeah.
I'm not proud of that, but that was, an 8 or 9 year old
And I
doing.
doubt that you waited around for a response.
I didn't. I turned
Yeah,
back and marched off and probably left her in tears.
there you go.
I remember my mother got a phone call from her mother, and then I had to apologize.
Yeah. Yeah, we do things like that. And
Yeah.
we do them in more substantial and more serious ways than what we're talking about by, being in a argument and being called fat. And I remember saying, well, I may be fat, but you're ugly and I can diet.
Oh, oh, you did not. Oh,
No, that's just an urban myth, I think. But
oh, geez.
those are the kind of things we do, and then we're off. We go hide somewhere so that there can't be another last word
I hope that
and another thing,
I,
that kind of a
I don't want to remember what you just said.
thing. You afraid you might use it?
I might like that. It's really funny and mean. Like that is terrible,
Yeah, no, something can be funny and mean at the same time.
right?
That's
Like, and
dangerous,
maybe it should
really
be funny.
dangerous. So,
Yeah,
but
maybe there's something wrong with me or
but
family there.
in the decades of therapy and workshops and speaking engagements and things that we've had the privilege of taking part in, um, I've made some observations
Hmm.
about possible, probable, pretty sure they are reasons that we need to get the last word in. And I say we because
Yeah.
um, uh, usually if I'm arguing with Danny, uh, it ends up with me crawling away, with my tail tucked between my legs and begging for mercy because she's good. But the I say we because I think we all take part in that from time to time, at least.
Hmm.
And again, there are some for whom that is their MO. It's the way they go about it, and it's the way it's going to be. And frankly, I imagine a lot of people probably wonder, why would I even go through this conversation with you or this argument?
Yeah,
Because I know what's going to happen and how it's going to end.
exactly. Yeah. Well, and if you have an avoidant attachment style, this is actually a very common practice. So you can
You bet.
shut that baby down. I'm going to say something rude, mean, whatever, cut below the belt, and this conversation's over because you're bleeding out, and I'm going to
Yeah.
walk off while you're doing
Yeah.
that.
So it's a facade.
Yeah,
You
well,
I'm in control. I'm going to have the power here so that I can go hide faster.
exactly, because
And
I'm not going to be vulnerable
yeah,
with you right now. I'm going to blow this
well,
up.
and that's actually one of those observations that have been seen is that, people will attempt to get the last word in order to avoid conflict resolution.
Mhm.
And isn't that why we're at the table?
Hello.
You
Right?
know, isn't that why we are having this conversation, even though it may be animated and a bit loud? Um, but people may prioritize that, winning an argument over finding common ground. And
Right.
that's so counterproductive.
Mhm.
It is a far less helpful outcome than pushing through it and saying truthful things and honest things and vulnerable things,
Mhm.
which are the things we're trying to avoid.
Yeah. Well, and you can look at the average conflict, and it's not about the words that are being tossed around in the moment. It's about the wounds that people are bringing to the table
Mm-hmm.
and the sub conversation that isn't really being addressed because
Yeah.
neither of them have those communication skills. And so it makes sense that people would slam the door shut verbally on this stuff because they don't know a better way
Yeah.
to relieve the pain. And it's a
Well,
coping mechanism, but it's not great. It blows up your relationships big time. So we want people to stop it.
quick, fast, and in a hurry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing that we all want from day one, I mean, from the day that we, pop out and say, hello, world, is a sense of control. And it is the most unattainable dynamic in relationships, and the thing we probably, excuse me, we'll go further out of our way and work the hardest to get.
Hmm.
Again, we're putting so much effort and time and deviousness into attempting to get something that is unattainable, and that is to control another human being.
Yeah.
And having the last word can give us a feeling of control over this particular issue or the conversation that we're having. And it allows that last speaking person to really be assertive with their viewpoint and reinforce their stance and know that they're fighting for the right and you're wrong, and makes you feel more authoritative in that interaction and punctuates it with an exclamation point.
Yeah.
And then you get up and walk away.
So is it possible that underneath control is a sense or a desire is a better word, a need for safety? And since this whole thing that I'm doing now feels unsafe and too vulnerable, I can control the outcome by shutting it down if I get the last word in, and then I can prevent future conversations if I do it in a way that damages intimacy. I don't think anybody actually thinks through those things, but that's certainly how they play out often.
Yeah, real frequently. And that's, I think, what we're going to be talking about in a future podcast coming up real soon is how the vulnerability and the intimacy, or the vulnerability that leads to intimacy, is essentially an invitation
Mm.
to other people to come and damage me,
Yeah.
come and hurt me, come and um, give it, give me your worst. Because uh, it's not that we want that to happen, but it's something that unfortunately is a part of how we behave as human beings in situations when we ought to be behaving differently. And
Yeah.
so, not having, not either developing the skills, not having a set of parameters for when we are in conflict. I mean,
Hmm.
how many people have a set of rules? All right, if
Right.
we're gonna argue, which we are, we've come to that agreement. We know we're gonna argue, but do we set up some parameters to say these are some things that are okay in that setting, and to keep it safe?
Right.
And here are the list of things that are not okay. And I don't see why there can't be or shouldn't be something in there about that authoritative interaction at the end where somebody slams their fist on the table and said, end of discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. The the thing that most people don't realize is they're the only ones that are responsible for their safety.
Mhm.
We have such a weak identity most of the times that we look to others to take care of us, parent us, instead of showing up with our big girl, big boy pants on,
Yep.
taking responsibility for how this conversation is going to go or how it's going to end. And then can I be mature in that space? Am I needy in that space? Like anytime you show up to a conversation needy, like that's just asking for, like you're a victim without even starting. Like, don't do it. It's not helpful.
Yeah. True story. But the another important observation, I think, is the concept of closure.
Mm,
And again, this is kind of a kind of a thing that is a myth as well, I guess, is the best way to say that. Because getting the last word in doesn't necessarily close out a conflict,
right.
close out an
Stay.
interaction. It ends it for now.
Right.
But if it's still going on and roiling inside, we say a lot more sometimes with our actions than we do our words.
Hmm.
So it's important to understand that ending a discussion or an argument with a final statement provides this sense of closure, because really the only person it provides it for is the speaker.
Yeah, in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just saying, we're going to finish this and we're going to do it my way.
Yep.
Well, that's not coming to the table to resolve. It's it's because I feel like something needs to be explained or defined my way.
Hmm.
I'm half of the reason we're sitting here to begin with.
Yeah.
So saying that it has to go my way, or we're not going to have discussions like this, is completely unfair and inequitable.
Yep.
So there is no closure because you said the last thing. That's like believing in the tooth fairy. I'm supposed to talk about things like that.
It's okay. I think we have mostly adults.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
But um, another thing that has been observed is the perception of validation. My position is validated if I get the last word in.
Hmm.
Really? And so it's like a reward. It's like, here's your cookie. You got the last word in. Yeah. But again, nothing got solved. But this feeling of validation and satisfaction that, I won. And I think we've established this numerous times before, even in our podcast, but we certainly do it in our work with people. Anytime there's an established winner and loser in an interaction
Yeah.
that involves a relationship, everybody loses.
Yes. Yes.
It's
100%.
lose lose across the board.
Yep.
There's no other way to explain it.
Yep. No, that's a big deal. It's one of the things I love about Smalley's book, Nine Lies That Will Destroy Your Marriage, because that no losers policy is a
Yeah.
big chunk of that book. Because the enemy wants you divided. He wants somebody to lose, because if somebody loses, the marriage loses.
Yeah.
Huge deal. Spot on with that.
It's a true story. But I think too, and it's not the only thing that we need to think about. But I think if we are adamant about, being that person that stomps our feet and slams our fist on the table and says, I'm going to have the last word no matter what, because I'm the better fighter, I'm the better orator or speaker, and I want control and all the things we've talked about. There's another place that says, what about love and joy and peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control?
Yeah.
Are we exhibiting those things when we're last worders?
Ooh, you just came up with a title. Last Worders.
Last worder.
Yeah.
Now it's a thing.
That's the thing. Are you a last order? Are you married to a last order?
There you go.
There you
Gonna have to
go.
go back and redo the opening here.
But to your point, like those things are absent. The fruit of the spirit that's missing in that energy that's brought to the table there for sure.
Mhm. And if those are the things that we want to bring, not just to the table, but to our partner,
Hmm.
to our spouse,
Yeah.
those are the things I want to bring and provide. And they're just not what's coming across when I'm vying for control or to be authoritative in this conversation.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to be authoritative in the conversation, it stands to reason that you're going to be looking to be that way in the relationship, period.
Yes.
And that's why we typically, if there are last worders involved, this is typically a part of their personality across the board.
Hmm. Well, I think it's related to their attachment style, right?
Yeah.
It's a great avoidance strategy.
Yeah.
And it's a really common one. Like 70 or 80% of couples have this push-pull dynamic. And, if you're fearful avoidant or if you're fearfully attached, you're going to be walking on eggshells trying not to set your partner off. But this is why they act like this.
Yeah.
So earning your own security and being solid in your identity can give you the moxie and the skills to, okay, I'm going to overlook that insult and let them do what they're going to do, say what they're going to say. And then I'm going to bring this back up to them. Hey, are you in a place where we can have a conversation where both of us can be heard and respected? I really want to hear more about what you were talking about. Seems like you had some strong feelings with that, which may get it shut down again right out of the gate. But the only way people grow is by being exposed to situations over and over and over again in a safe environment. So if you're blowing up, you're not helping,
Right.
right? So you've got to not do that. Got to overlook some of the things your partner's saying to get to what's underneath it so that you can connect with what's really going on there. Because it's not about what color the car was that, your kid owned in high school that, you're sure that you guys, who cares? Well, your spouse did, mad enough so to be so angry they slammed their hand and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on there really?
Yeah.
Like, let's talk
I'm,
about that.
I'm, I'm glad you said that about the car, because I just had a thought that I think can help explain part of this maybe clearly to a
Mm.
few of us. One of the things I dislike the most when I'm driving in an unfamiliar place or even in a familiar place is a roundabout.
Oh, I hate those things.
I do too, because especially if I'm not familiar with, if I'm trying to get somewhere I've not been before and I'm trying to say, okay, there are five options that are in this circle. And I don't know if it's the second one, the fourth one, or the third one. Maybe it's the one I just came off of. Who knows? I'm lost. Okay. And
Yeah.
then doing this circle, trying to figure out which exit you got people getting in and coming over and moving over
Yes.
and getting out. And it's craziness.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But if I am trying to get somewhere, I'd rather have a roundabout with options than a dead end in the dark.
Okay.
Because a dead end says this is going nowhere.
Right. Yes.
And the best thing you're going to do is to retrace your steps. And you're going to be back where you started, and you still don't know where you are
Oh,
or where
yeah.
you're going. In
Fair.
a roundabout, there are challenges. There are things thrown at you that you're not expecting. But there are options. And if I don't hit it the first time around, I can stay in that circle and come back to it.
See, can I just say that I hate these things so much that I think that that's hell. And my biggest fear probably would be that I'm stuck in the roundabout forever. Like all eternity, I'm in a roundabout and I can't get out.
Do you have bad dreams about it?
Not really, but every time I
Not
go into
yet.
one, not yet.
Start
There's only
now.
like there's three of them in Cincinnati or something stupid. Like they're starting to use the things, and I'm like, why? Why is this here? And one of them's 20 minutes from my house.
Hmm.
But to your point, if we think about conversation like that and conflict like that, it's nice that there's a lot of exits out of that thing.
Yeah.
And there are 100%. But to your
Yeah.
point, if you're going to like slam the door shut, that's a dead end. That doesn't
Yeah.
work. And you're not going to be any better off at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, even if you don't think about it, going into a courageous conversation,
Hmm. Hmm.
like the kind of conversations we're talking about today, when things aren't
Yep.
going so well and there's conflict in the air, going into that is it's intimidating
Yeah.
to most of us. Even if we've done it before and we do it well, it's still no fun.
Yeah.
It's still not a place we want to be, because even though we have a basic understanding of how we need to do it, there are going to be surprises. There are going to be things coming at us from directions that we didn't see
Yeah.
or that we don't want, or if they're coming across here when I want to get off there.
Mhm.
Maybe it's that I just need to go around again and take my time and but um, I think that there are a lot of similarities to that. I'm pretty pleased with that analogy that just popped into my
Yeah.
head. I think I'm gonna use it again.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it. Yeah. Well, so hopefully our listeners today got some ideas around um, this whole concept of being a last worder. And if you are one, I want to challenge you to sort that out. Find yourself a coach or a therapist that has some familiarity with EFT, emotionally focused therapy, some or awarenesses of attachment styles, and get rid of this because it's ruining your life. You're missing out on connection big time. If you're married to one of these people, know the Lord is developing patience in you and the grace of like God Himself. Like it takes a lot to be patient in this, to not take those things personally, but that we're all called to develop our identity in Christ such that we're unoffendable. That's
Yeah,
what we're called to do. And I call that being bulletproof. And I know personally that that's possible. I'm not perfect at it, but boy, oh boy, like it takes a lot to offend or hurt me. It's really difficult. And I'm so grateful for that because it's a whole new way of being. There's so much freedom here.
yeah.
So,
And if you find yourself in that position, you know that this conversation is going to have to happen. Do the right thing, like
mhm.
Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, and put your angry eyebrows away,
Yeah.
and come into that conversation with the desire
Yeah.
to exhibit those fruits of the spirit,
Mhm.
to one another. Even though we're not in agreement, we can still be kind to one
Yes.
another, gentle with one another.
I love that. Well, if you live in the great state of Texas and you want to connect with Kyle for some therapy, you can reach him at kylehargrovelpc@gmail.com. Kyle with a K, Kyle, hargrovelpc@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time. Hang out for the next episode. Hit like and subscribe, and let's learn more about how to have good relationships.